Following is analysis of Ms. Mirocha's freestyle. Alright, so we really like to see her use those arms to launch herself forward off the box. She does a great job of cranking back. Additionally, we want to make sure that once she hits the water, she keeps that head tucked in her streamline. We don't want her to pick it up to force herself to the top of the water. Lastly, we'll never be faster than we are off the blocks, so we never want to take a breath on the first stroke because this makes us lose all of our momentum off of the blocks. We have good elbow bend, and we do an excellent job of taking short breaths that don't disrupt our stroke rate. We have a little bit of a gallop, and that's due to, if we look back here, that's due to us letting our hips snake back and forth just slightly. If we maintain that body position and rotate on the single axis in the middle of our body, we'll be much better off. Additionally, we can see here on this turn that she flips over, and instead of pushing over flat on her back, she rolls over onto her stomach before she pushes off the wall. That's a lot of wasted time, so we want to make sure that when we flip over, we push off flat on our back and then kick our way onto our stomach before our breakout. Again, breathing on the first stroke, we want to make sure we try to eliminate that to maintain our top speed off the wall. It takes us a few strokes to get back up to speed. As we get tired here, we can tell that our stroke rate is slightly disrupted by our breathing. Also, we turn our head very far past the midline point of our body. As we can see, almost her entire head and face is out of the water here. We'd really like to turn to about this point right here before we turn our head back for the breath. We can see that she can breathe fine right here, so she doesn't need to go all the way this high out of the water on that breath. We also want to make sure that we keep up a steady 6-beat kick when we're racing for freestyle. This is analysis of Miss Mirocha's freestyle. Alright, as we see coming through here, we want to make sure we keep this head tucked in our streamline. We don't want to pick that head up out of our streamline for our breakout. We want to keep our eyes on the bottom of the pool and stay in a very tight streamline position, even on that first stroke. Additionally, we don't want to see us breathe on the first stroke off the wall. That makes us lose a lot of momentum off of that start. As we can see in these first few strokes, she really turns her head from side to side a little bit wildly underwater. We want to make sure that we keep that head as steady as possible with our eyes on the bottom of the pool. Because we allow our head to rotate back and forth, it forces our hips to snake from side to side slightly as well. So instead of keeping our body streamlined and rotating on one axis, our hips are actually snaking a little bit from side to side and slowing us down. When we get to this flip turn, we want to make sure that right when we get to this point here, we're going to push off in a streamline flat on our back and then kick our way onto our stomachs. Flipping all the way over onto our stomach before we push off is a lot of wasted time, and we want to get off the wall as soon as possible. We don't want to breathe on that first stroke out of the breakout so we can maintain top speed off the wall. We can see here that our hands and fingers are spread apart a little bit. We want to make sure we keep those hands together nice and tight so that we have a big strong paddle to pull through the water. Additionally, we want to make sure that we don't drop our elbow when we pull through in our freestyle. So what we mean by that is we want to make sure that our elbow never drops ahead of our hand if we can help it. If we keep our hand further along in our stroke than our freestyle, we'll make sure to get more surface area to pull with. Right now we're only getting this much water, or we're only pulling water with this part of our arm, and we want to make sure that we pull water with our entire arm. Keeping that elbow high will really help us do that. Additionally, we can see too that as we rotate to take a breath, we see our feet cross right there. We don't want to allow our feet to cross when we kick, because then we don't get to kick through our full range of motion. So we want to make sure that we don't cross our feet so that we can kick all the way through and maintain maximum power and use our legs as the engine that drives our kick. Crossing over disrupts the timing of our stroke, and it limits the amount of power that you can generate from the kick if you can't move through your full range of motion.